guilty on 5 counts of, money he didn't trade Bitcoin according to the man's, rules. So what is going on right now is letters to the judge. Now this was, I guess, kind of the plan of his attorney, that he's going to be guilty of he violated something. But she wanted to see if she can get the sentencing to the point of time served, and he just get out already after, it was a year. Well, they arrested him on 4/20, April 20th, marijuana day, to try to get some press out of that. So what happened is you have from 0 to 40 points, as I understand, something like that, the sentencing guidelines for federal crime. Now, if they get the egregious, if you did it wrong or bad or something, extra frills on top and sprinkles of a crime or something, you get more and more points. So they have it up now to like 30-something out of 40 points, so he could do like 20 years, or more. So the goal of the attorney is to start lopping off. Okay, it wasn't this, it wasn't aggravated that, and the parole report of the they get it down into like a 12 or something, and he may be able to be released on time served when they do sentencing at the end of July.
July 30th.
The July 30th is the sentencing. Now, it was supposed to be June 11th, I think, and they changed it because they wanted to try and get this number down. So that's what his attorney is doing, is taking all these aggravating, circumstances off so that hopefully he can just get out. Now, Morpheus was found guilty of exchanging Bitcoin for cash without the permission slip or something. So in the trial, they kept saying, now Bitcoin's perfectly legal, it's all legal, it's illegal, it's legal, it's legal, everything's legal, it's all legal. Oh, by the way, it's legal, but he did it wrong, and he must go down. So when they arrested him, 420, Bitcoin was only like $1,200 or something like that. Then it shot up to past 20,000, now it's like 7,500 or something like that. When that happened, all of a sudden that Bitcoin that they seized went up about a gazillion times. So what was, $100,000 all became 1.5 million or some crap like that. The government's like, now if you give up your Bitcoin, well, think about, the aggravating circumstances, you didn't give up your Bitcoin. I mean, so that's still sitting there. So it was borrowed from some other people to do the deal, and they have a claim on it. So they're looking at it. Somebody can come in and say, I want my Bitcoin back. Like Peter Steinmetz, the doctor that kind of led him to him to do it, he may eventually do that. Now, all charges were dropped against him, but the man doesn't like the challenge. So that's what's going on there. We have letters that have been written to the judge. And the one thing, I did talk to Maria, the attorney, and so the only time I've talked to her since the beginning. And her comment was she was surprised at how many people submitted letters and the diversity of them. It was philosophically diverse, professionally diverse, age diverse, culture diverse. It was a wide swath of what the hell is this guy doing in jail? So, it'll be fun. I did talk to Morpheus just a week or two ago, and he's always, and that's one thing Maria's always surprised by, is his attitude. He has read over 90 books while he's there. It's all on improvement, self-help, and and I'm free in my mind, kind of. We knew from the beginning, they arrested the wrong guy. Every freaking guard, the warden, the inmate, they're all cryptocurrencyed up, I guarantee that. Okay? So he's like, they're coming down to the factory, coming out of, educated people. They go, okay, this guy out of here, So, one of the things that the gentleman that was here, he could stay. He saw the Breakfast Club being, on the meetup and so on, and heard about it, and now it's close where he came by. He has in this echo room, he has a problem hearing, so unless he's talking to one person, he couldn't hear. But his whole thing was, okay, are we going to spread the truth? All right. What's your truth? I mean, everybody's got their truth, right? So, the big picture, all right. What big picture? Well, bad guys are doing this, and they're doing that. Well, some people are like, they shouldn't be doing anything. It's like, I got Russ over here, I'm reading the article, I went to the bathroom, Tucker Carlson's talking about the FAA is now, the first criteria isn't making sure planes don't crash into each other, and that'd be my first book, right? But we need a biographical resume on, you know, your diversity and the culture of, you know, how dark your skin is and who you like to go to bed with and all that kind of. Then we'll see if you can, you know, we got diversity criteria in hiring. Now we saw, again, I remember back in the 90s, if you scored too high on an IQ test, you couldn't be in law enforcement. And people would file suit and so on. What they were finding out, they go, yeah, we find that police officers that aren't too intelligent follow orders better and they do what we want. If you're too intelligent or your IQ's too high, they find you just don't do what you're told as much. So we just rather not have that. And they were challenged and they won. The government won. They said, yeah, man, you know, we have our criteria we want. So this is kind of from a libertarian perspective, you know, my thing, I'm just like, I don't need the government even doing FAA. I don't want them doing, I make it a private insurance kind of consortium of I don't care. You know, not them, because guaranteed this is the kind of stuff that happens. So what we did to promote this decentralization of everything was pirates. Can you leave this one up and go to another page to show the pirates? Okay. Just scroll up on this. PiratesWithoutBorders.com has all the different categories of life, from communication, energy, shelter, transportation, automation, and we have the letters of Captain Mark, as in Mark and reprisal. So you have the female character, reprisal, does letters like anti-war and self-defense and stuff like that. Captain Mark is on Why I Raised My Black Banner, cryptocurrency, what pirate money is, pirate communication, pirate energy, pirate, you know, how do we deal with artificial intelligence? You know, this is involuntary servitude. Then we turn these into 60 and 2-minute radio spots, and we run them all over radio stations. So we're on like 160 stations at 3 Talk Live now, and of course on my radio show and all that stuff. Now, all these different categories, what you see here is in each category, now this is the general one, is all the tech that's going to free us. So when you say, well, if they don't do it, who's going to do it? How's it going to get done? Here's the technology. You've been hearing me scream about carbon as the future of everything. Man, is it coming. It is, I mean, batteries the size of, right now, you could buy right now, it's called metal hydride, $3,600, a battery that's 3.5 kilowatts. You know, a Tesla Powerwall is like 7 or 8 or something, and the size of the window. It's a car battery that can run your house. Now, not later. This is the point that I'm making. There's so much tech, communication. SpaceX is now putting up 4,200 satellites. You'll have ubiquitous, worldwide, North and South Pole Wi-Fi internet service for almost nothing. At 21 gig up and downloads. That is like twice the best stuff. I get a gazillion dollars for 300 megabyte download now. I can get a gig download, which is over 3 times as fast as that, and Wi-Fi. And it's a low latency because they're low Earth orbit, so it's as fast as cable, one that's 20 milliseconds. So all these things are coming energy, shelter, food production. We as individuals are going to be empowered, not some team we're on, not red versus blue, not it's internationally, worldwide as individuals. But the problem was always this. Okay, go ahead and stand that. The problem was always this. Where do you live? They got you where you live. I know your address. I went and did the census and got the GPS at the front door, and there you are. You know, we'll get some. So I'm like, man, you just got to be a pirate. You got to have a ship. You got to have a pirate ship. Now, if we're going to go in the future, now don't play it yet. But this is the airbag. You know, a graphene is like Adam's stick. You do a sheet of graphene. It's like cellophane. It's thinner than saran wrap. The weight of an elephant on a pencil head doesn't penetrate it. And it holds helium. So the thing is this is like, here we have the buoyancy that we can have airships. I can't start going around, but I want to live on it. I want to make money with it. Boldly shipping with a man has never shipped before. Go all over the world. Canada had just bought a gazillion of these because they can't keep their infrastructure in an amount of time without snow and their transcontinental highways and so on, and bridges to maintain the screw it, we're going to airships. This is happening now, military, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I need a pirate ship. I just want to be left alone. If it has positive thrust, positive buoyancy, it can carry a whole bunch of weight, you can do shipping, might as well go to space. So the mindset, when everybody says, yeah, you can't do all this stuff because it'll always come get you where you are. What if where I am is not one place anymore? Here you have seasteading. They're putting up space stations are already being planned. The BFR, the big Falcon rocket, okay, by Elon Musk, was what they're going to be going to Mars with by 2023. But to make money for that, to be a money-making thing, nowhere on Earth is more than 30 minutes away. You go on, it has a booster that goes up, it comes back and lands, refuels. The other thing comes, lands in Singapore from Tokyo, and boom, done, 30 minutes. In our lifetime. This is coming right now. So the inspiration that we did, we put up on pirateswithoutborders.com all this stuff and said, look, we know we're going to have to be able to get away. So you design it. I just put it out the forum and said, whoever wants to do it. 5 months later, we started getting designs coming off the forum. All of a sudden, we're starting to get all these guys. And most recently, they did this video. Go ahead and play it. You'll see what I mean. This is 1,000 feet long. It's like 40 stories high. It's huge. You're not thinking big enough. Peace.
He's running for office. Highest executive office in education in the state of Arizona was made to bring his unparalleled academic expertise. His teaching expertise in his business and military background to the people of Arizona. Dr. Branch is a lifelong conservative and currently teaches at the #1 and 2 Christian universities in the world, Grand Canyon University and Liberty University. His leadership and management to teachers and school administrators is what he's taught, leadership skills, styles, and best practices. He's taught many of our school superintendents and thousands of teachers over the 16 years in education. His administrative expertise includes campus director, dean of education, dean of technology, chair of the School of Business and Information Technology, lead facility content chair for doctorate in management and information system technology. He's the Trump candidate in this election. He supports President Trump's agenda to dismantle the United States Department of Education and to make education great again. Dr. Branch currently serves as the Commissioner for Parks and Recreation for Maricopa County. And please welcome Dr. Branch.
Thank you very much, Major. I appreciate that. Make sure can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
There we go. There you go.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much. Thank you for the welcome. Thank you for the invite. This is quite a forum here. 50 years you've been meeting, and that's quite a record in this state. And it's an honor to be here. I brought my lovely wife Adele with me. She's sitting back there. We're going on 38 years of marriage. I'm sorry? Yeah. She's the one that needs applauded. I'm along for the ride with that one. She's a wonderful person, so I'm a blessed guy. No, she was. It's funny, I say that we've been married 38 years, but she's only 21. So somewhere, we got a lawyer sitting right next to us, so I don't know if that's legal or not. But I am Dr. Bob Branch. I am running for Superintendent of Public Instruction for the state of Arizona. Does anybody not know what that position is? Okay, that position is the highest executive position in education for the state of Arizona. It is one of 5 constitutionally granted offices in this state. So what that means is this office really reports to you, because you're the voter that votes for this person to be in this office. So it's not ran by the governor. It's not ran by any other department. This here is to superintend all public instruction for the state. So I think qualifications matter. What do you think? And here's the reason why I'm saying that. For the last 20 years, we've had Republicans in this office. Now, I'm a Republican candidate because I know there's a lot of libertarians here. But we've had Republicans in this office, and this education system that we currently have is a failed education system. That's because we keep electing the wrong type of person to this office. So let me tell you some of my qualifications that were briefly mentioned up there. I'm a veteran. Any veterans in here? Thank you very much for your service, and thank your spouses for putting up with you while you were there. I'm a father of a vet as well. Lord blessed Adele and I with one son, Benjamin. Benjamin now lives in Hawaii. So after he got out of the service, I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm coming home." After he came home, "What are you doing?" "I'm moving to Hawaii." So there's where he was. And after I got out of the service, I started, I got my bachelor's degree, and I started designing computer chips. And I went into, tech guy. So I started designing computer chips, and when we designed computer chips, I went into the marketing and sales of computer chips, then eventually corporate leadership, corporate management, then eventually corporate ownership. About 16 years ago, I was asked to teach my knowledge at university. So I started teaching, and I remember, any teachers in this room? Yes. I don't know about you, but the first time that you taught, I was nervous. I was extremely nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Realistically, one of my customers, he said, "Well, Dr. Branch, you should teach." So he got me involved with education over at the university. And I said, "Okay, well, I look forward to it." The very first night I taught, I was so energized. I knew that education is where I really was all my life, because in the service, I was the airman, actually the sergeant in charge of OJT in my field. And with the customers and sales and marketing, that's what you're doing. So I found myself doing that anyhow, and I was really energized. So I went in and I said, okay. I went to my lovely wife Adele and I said, I think this is what I want to do the rest of my life. Since then, I've held administrative positions of Dean of Education, Dean of Technology, and I'm currently the lead faculty content chairman for the largest doctorate in management and information system technology program in the world. As was pointed out there, I do teach at the #1 and #2 Christian universities in the world. I teach at Grand Canyon University and I teach at Liberty University. But I started teaching at those universities before they were the #1 and #2. So I like to think somehow I had a small effect on that. But I remember when actually I was a dean up at another university, Dr. Ann Nelson, who started the doctorate program at Grand Canyon University. She was one of my students. My signature is actually on her doctorate diploma. And when I left that university, she goes, "Dr. Branch, why don't you teach for us?" So I came down here and I started teaching for Grand Canyon University. I still teach. I was teaching this morning. I teach every single day. I lecture at least twice a week, but this summer I'm taking off just for campaigning as far as that. I'm mostly online. But I'm more than a teacher, because not only do I teach, but I'm the only person in this race that not only has a bachelor's degree, but I've designed bachelor programs. Not only do I have a master's degree, but I've designed 2 MBA programs that are still in existence. And I'm the only candidate from any party in this race with an earned doctorate, but I've also designed DM and PhD programs. Why is that important in this office? Because of assessment. Anybody hear of AZ merit test? No? Yes, okay. I feel like saying Bueller, Ferris Bueller. Some people get that joke. So, AZ merit test. That test, Common Core's, and it's an assessment of Common Core. Are we teaching effectively? The realistic thing is, that test, over half of our children will fail that test this year, or have already failed that test this year. Last year, over half failed that test, and the year before. We have people that are in charge right now. We send the wrong person up here all the time to this office, and they don't understand assessments. So I understand assessments, so when I walk into a school district and I go to a school superintendent, I don't walk in as I don't walk in as a politician. I walk in as a peer. I walk in and I understand the road that they've done. In fact, my average student at Grand Canyon University, because I teach to the doctorate level, I teach teachers how to run large learning organizations. I teach teachers the leadership styles, skills, and techniques they need to understand to empower teachers for school systems. So when they decide that they want to become school administrators or school superintendents, I'm the person that they come to at Grand Canyon University to learn this from. I have taught many of our school superintendents in this state, and I've literally taught thousands of our teachers how to run and how to become school administrators. So why am I in this race? It's very simple. Anybody like Donald Trump? One person? 2 person? Who likes Donald Trump in this room? I thought on this thing it said PC is no PC movies, right?
I did.
Yes. I love Donald Trump. I think he's doing an amazing job.
But you just need to know the people that actually vote probably for Trump.
Okay, so we don't vote. I don't think it tells people that vote about me, but anyhow, let's go back to Donald Trump. When Ronald Reagan was president, one of the, I can keep hearing.
It's me. It's me.
Okay, now here's the progressive Democrat who's right here. You just need to know your room here, Jim.
Okay.
I'm not a Democrat. I am an atheist, but I'm not a Democrat. I am a liberal.
I don't want to ever hear you say, oh my God.
She said never say, oh my God, you're an atheist. So, well, to our atheist friend, we'll pray for you. Okay. So, when President Ronald Reagan, there you go. When President Ronald Reagan, 1982, he addressed Congress in February, he said that the budget that I bring you will be substantially reduced. And it will be substantially reduced because I'm going to dismantle the United States Department of Education. Did that happen? No, it did not happen. So, I'm sorry? It got bigger. Actually, it's a $200 billion a year department. It's outrageous. Exactly. I agree with that. I agree with that. Anyhow, since then, the very first president that we've had that advocates getting rid of the United States Department of Education was Donald Trump. Yay. Okay, there you go. Come on, you gotta follow cues. So anyhow, he he advocates getting rid of the Department of Education. Why is this important to me? This is important to me because, like I said, my students are teachers. 14 years K-12 experience, those are my teachers, and I've seen for decades how these students are not able to teach their subjects. These students, my teachers my students who are teachers cannot teach their subjects. And that's really important. When we get into education, we don't get into education and say, well, I'm going to make a fortune. That's not what we're here for. We inspire students. We inspire the next generation to be great. But we don't allow them. Because at the federal level, if we take the federal money, because from the U.S. Department of Education, there's not supposed to be any unfunded mandates. So when we take the money and bring it down to the state, now we have to follow their mandates. Their mandates like Common Core, for instance. So when we take the money, we have to follow the mandates. The mandates then go down into the classroom. We also have unfunded mandates in this state that we impose on schools and our teachers. That keeps them as well from teaching. Example, teaching to the AZ Merit Test, right? One out of every 4 hours is spent teaching to the AZ Merit Test. A test, remember I said that over half of our students will fail. So 1 hour out of every 4, 25% of the school year is spent teaching to that test. We're not allowing teachers to teach. So to me, when I heard that candidate Trump, you had your opportunity, candidate Trump, when candidate Trump was running, he said that he wanted to get rid of the Department of Education. I heard him over at Fountain Hills and I heard him downtown say that twice. And it was like, wow, if this guy does it, I'm running for this office. If he actually wins, and I supported him from not day one. I supported him when Mike Huckabee got out of the race. The day after he got out of the race, I was a big time Trumper, but I love Huckabee. So anyhow, Donald Trump advocated this. Now he became president. When he became president, he went to Betsy DeVos, signed an executive order. The executive order said to Betsy DeVos, you have a year to come up with a plan to get the federal government out of state education. On that day, I announced I'm running for this. And I've been running for this since April of last year. I'm proud to say that we turned in all our signatures. We will be on the ballot. So for the first time, thank you very much. So for the first time, the voters, those that vote in this room, you will have an opportunity to actually vote for somebody that's qualified for this job. That's just not some career politician. Now, I'm running against typical career politicians. There are many things that I do not advocate that are happening right now. We'll get booed here, but we have many, many socialist type of programs in our schools. We have many socialist programs in our schools. We have many Marxist type of programs in our school that we teach classism and we also teach socialism. Do you wonder why a Bernie Sanders would rise to a certain level? I'll be happy to answer your questions in a minute. Do you know why Bernie Sanders rose to such a high level in this? Yes, sir.
He was the perfect Santa Claus.
Are there people in this room? Okay, probably are. Definitely in my room here, but who here believes that socialism works? Okay, but why do our many of our young generation in this country believe that it works? Because of the government indoctrination camps, i.e. schools. We teach this. When Red for Ed, who was Red for Ed? Who was in favor of Red for Ed? All right. that's cool.
Hey, we got plenty, America has plenty of money to run around the world butchering innocent brown people. If we got all this money, butcher innocent brown people, we got enough money for education.
Anyhow, so the reality is,
Curse America.
many of us do not believe that socialism works. However, we teach our children that it does work. So when Red for Ed happened, Red for Ed was not organic. It did not just start by two teachers waking up one day saying, you know what, we should strike. It was well planned out, well funded, march, designed for one purpose only, not what you think. It was designed to change the midterm election narrative. We Republicans buy off on that all the time. Whether it's Black Lives Matters or Red for Ed, whatever it is, we allow the left to direct the midterm election narrative. We just got job reports yesterday, right? Lowest unemployment rate in history for African Americans. Lowest unemployment rate ever for Hispanics.
Fake news.
Lowest unemployment rate in this millennial for women. Lowest unemployment rate in this millennium for men.
Thank you, Trump.
Thank you, Donald Trump. Absolutely.
Yes.
So, we see this. We went into midterms. We have a great narrative. We should win every single race out there. But the reality is, the left is directing us. So we have the Red for Ed movement. Now, with the Red for Ed movement, when the teachers walked out, but when the teachers walked out or were locked out, on every one of the TV channels in Phoenix, they said, don't worry, parents, we're still feeding your children. Don't worry, from 4th grade, from 4 years old to 18 years old, no other questions asked, we will feed your children. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. They need something to take home after the weekend. If, in fact, this goes on the weekend, we'll pack them something. Well, those programs, I've been advocating this. I'm a Christian.
Yay.
So I'm a Christian. I believe that if a child needs food, we should help the child. Absolutely. However, we've given up in our schools. Because in our schools, in order to get the federal funding down for extended breakfast, lunch, dinner, weekend dinner, and summer programs, the administrative cost is so high anymore to have grant writers write for this money. What ends up happening is schools now are just opening it up. Anybody that wants food gets food. Well, so we teach our children socialism doesn't work, but we in fact show them that it does. We will feed everybody, we'll help clothe everybody, because many of our schools have, uniforms and stuff like this. We'll do this. But we also have another thing in here. Who's in favor of illegal immigrants being in the classroom? Okay. Who is not? There you go. So I'm running against an opponent that sponsored a bill. It's called H.R. 4062 of 1996. That bill requires the Secretary of the Department of Education to fully reimburse every state for the cost of educating illegal immigrants or aliens, kindergarten through 12th grade.
Yes.
So what ends up happening is we have students we have our children sitting in the classroom. We say socialism doesn't work, but they say yes, it does. We say the DACA students should go back, or there should be something happening with the DACA students. Well, the reality is our children are coming back to us saying, well, wait a second, but why? I've been in the classroom all my life with this student. Why are we doing this? And as you said, there's the socialism indoctrination to this. And to me, I have a big issue with that, because that is not what our school systems are set up to do. We should be set up to teach. We should be set up to do this. So the reality is I'm standing up with my education background experience, with understanding that we've taken over the parenting of the kid. And here's another example. Right before St. Patrick's Day, one of my students comes hobbling in. Now understand, she's been teaching 3rd grade now. She's, again, 12 years an educator. And she comes hobbling into my classroom. And I said, well, what's wrong? And she says, well, she was giving her 3rd grader some feedback. 3rd grader picked up a pen and stabbed her in the leg. Well, I knew what school this was that she was teaching at, and I knew what they would do. So I asked her, playing the devil's advocate, I said, well, they kicked a student out of school, right? They didn't even tell the parent, because they deemed that the parent would be ineffective. The school assessed the situation. They said the parents would not be effective, so the school would just deal with it. They sent that child back to the classroom, teaching all other students there that there is no repercussions or consequences to stabbing your teacher, unless you have good parents. Now, if they had good parents, of course, they would have told the parents, and the parents would have been involved. But they also told the teacher something else. We don't respect you. We're putting somebody that has physically abused you back into your classroom. I believe that our educators, when we should not, those that are not for Red Thread, now, on the 19th of April, one day before Governor Ducey announced that he's running, or he's going to give a 20% raise, all of the candidates, with the exception of Diane Douglas, were in a forum, and they were asked, are you Red Thread and why? Well, my name starts with D, so I started first, and I got up and I said, no, I'm not for Red Thread. Because I recognized it as something that was coming from the left anyhow to change the narrative. It was not organic, just teachers. Now, I stand for our teachers. I love our teachers. I think we should allow our teachers to teach. I think we should give them respect. We should create environments to maintain good quality teachers, and I advocate for them. But that's not what Red for Ed was. One of my opponents, Frank Riggs, gets up and says, I'm for Red for Ed. Tracy Livingston gets up, I'm Red for Ed. Jonathan Gelbart gets up, I'm Red for Ed. Next day, Governor Ducey announces 20% raise. The day after that, same type of forum down in Pima County. Again, but they went reverse alphabetical order. They all got up, I'm Red for Ed, and I support Governor Ducey in the 20% raise. They get to me, and I said, no, I am not for Red for Ed, because it's changing the midterm election policy. And tell me in our Constitution where our governor can get up and give a non-state employee a 20% raise. How can he do that? Now, do I support our teachers? Yes. But our teachers don't get paid from our governor. Our teachers have local control. I don't know if you know this, but our Constitution in this state guarantees us local control of our education. That means if you want to homeschool your child, homeschool your child. If you want to have a private school, have a private school. But it should be local. And the teachers are hired local, and the teachers are paid local. And that's the way it's set up. Well, now flash ahead, where Red for Ed has been found out to be exactly what I said it was. It's a political movement. In fact, in October, they're going to have more walkouts and more demonstrations. Why? Because it's right after the primary and right before the general election. They want to change the state blue. And that's what they're looking to do.
Right on. Boo.
So, come on, you all. So they want to change the state blue. And the reality is we can't let them do that. Okay? So now all my competitors are saying, we're not Red for Ed. It's like, just less than a month ago, you even said you sympathized with Red for Ed. But now they're saying that they're not. We don't need leaders in this education system that are politicians. And that's what we have, and that's what I'm running against, because these politicians change their mind and opinion just based on the political wind. Right? I'm running against a person right now that in 1990, when he ran for U.S. Congress, was pro-choice. All of a sudden, a few years later, politically expedient to be pro-life. Oh, guess what he is? Pro-life. And it's just like, well, no, that you don't want somebody in this office that's like that. I'm not a politician. So I don't have any political aspirations. I want to go and I want to fix our education system. And I am Dr. Bob Branch. My website is vote4branch.com. That's the number 4branch.com. I have my signs here. My motto is following what Donald Trump is, dismantle the United States Department of Education and make education great again. That's what I stand for. Those are my qualifications. And folks, reality is this is a campaign. You have booers and you have doers. And the reality is I'm asking you to get behind my campaign and finally, let's fix education. Let's get somebody in here that can actually do it. I'd love to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Oh yes, it's vote the number 4 branch, like on a tree.com, voteforbranch.com. These two gentlemen have had their hand, you had your hand up first. The lawyer in the room.
You mentioned, that they're teaching socialism in school, but don't you recognize that public education is socialism?
Yes.
Well, and the idea is, I recognize that so much that that's the reason why it is now a department in the United States Department. I mean, under the cabinet of the president. To me, that's unconstitutional. We should not have a U.S. Department of Education, period. I don't stand for it. I don't think that we should have it. Because how do you oppress a society?
Get them down.
Get them begging for it.
Well, and the way that you do that, somebody said dumb and gun. You take away education and opportunity. What did the Obama administration do? Took away education and opportunity, right? Some of the highest unemployment we've ever seen. The lowest, since 1977, when Obama got out, it was the lowest participation in the workforce we've ever had. So the reality, or since 1977, excuse me. So you take away education, you take away opportunity. Well, that's how you oppress a society. I say that you make the society great again if you give education, give the opportunity for a great education and create opportunity. We see now that Donald Trump is creating opportunity all over the United States and all over the world. So now let's bring back education and create a great society. Yes, sir, you were saying.
The Department of Education in the state of Arizona, you have the Constitution, and our Constitution requires a free or really free, or it actually is in our state Constitution. So having this, like you were saying, one of the 5, designated offices, I'm looking for the power that this office has to go, yes, forward Trump, peace be upon Trump, he wants to do away with work with Trump. Now, it's fine if he's wanting to do away with the Department of Education. Any other alliances, I don't give a crap what Washington does. So my thing is as the superintendent of public instruction here, that power that you have, I'm in here, are you talking legislative and advocacy? You're going to be down to the legislature a lot, or is there granted powers that you have that you could free my children? I have 4 children. They went to junior, senior, Phoenix Christian High. I mean, I have 6 years each and 4 kids, 11 grandkids I'm in, and I am all about why are they taking my money to educate everybody else's kid, okay? So I'm like, oh, hell no, we didn't talk about how great, wonderful you're still stealing from them, okay? So I need to know, you get in this position, and you are the contrarian to a lot of these others, you get up and you go, I have the power to advocate for what Trump said. I don't care about that. I want to know what you have the power to do to free my grandchildren, not later.
Well, I mean, that's a great question. Okay, so let's look at the last portion. Why are you stealing money from me? Okay, and I understand because I teach at a Christian university. I teach at a private university. And some of the things that I have to look at in this office, and we have to look at. At 2 in the morning, if you're having a heart attack, and you call 911, that person that they send out at an EMS, chances are they are educated in our public school systems. And the reality is we have to have a strong school system for that, and that's why I advocate that. I understand where your position is at, but I also understand how ineffective we have been. To give an example, we were at a store the other day and their computers were down. Well, computers are down and they can't make change. How do you not know how to make change? for a dollar, right? So we've been ineffective. So to me, when you said they steal from us, to me, if we're not delivering on what we say we are, because we're paying for a system right now that guarantees that your child will be career ready or college ready. But neither is true for most of our students. Okay, so were you saying that they're stealing from that? I would point to that. But I would also say we need a public school system, and the reason why, again, at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're having a heart attack, and they drive up and eat, I just turned 60 the other day, so this is on my mind. So you have a heart attack. The reality is you have to look at, you have to have a public education system. And that's the way that I look at it. Now, what power do I have? What power did Doug Ducey, our governor, have to say, I'm going to give a 20% raise? What power? Is that constitutionally backed? No, it's not constitutionally backed. But his office can use a bully pulpit. And that's exactly what he used. He went on and he did, I don't know if anybody was on that call from the governor, that town hall call. There's almost 15,000 people on that call. I listened to it because I'm involved in education. Every minute he was stopping the conversation and saying, you have to tell your legislators to vote on this. You have to do this. I challenge you, join this Red Fred movement. God bless you. Oh.
Okay, buddy.
Anyhow, so you have, he asked everybody to call the legislature, right? And he asked everybody through the bully pulpit to do this. He doesn't have power to say that teacher right here, because of local control, gets 20% raise. He doesn't have that power, yet he was able to do that. I challenge you, going to Red Fred movement, to tell me how many times Diane Douglas was down at Red Fred saying she supports the teachers but doesn't support Red Fred. She wasn't down there once. I'm the only Republican candidate that I know of that even went down there. Because why? Because I am going to direct, and this is what this office does. All work done by the Department of Education is the responsibility of this office. So if I'm going to work for these people, and if I'm going to be their superintendent of public schools, I have to be able to face the teachers with my political views. And I have to stand toe-to-toe with Red Fred people, which are the Democrats in this race, the Garcias and the Shapiros of this world, and I have to be able to face them with the leadership. So you supply the leadership.
When the people, they elect you,
Yes.
you go down and you're up against and you're advocating and doing some, I'm just wondering what the position of superintendent of public instruction is. It like Secretary of State? The elections don't happen unless you sign off on the election, okay? Governor, the bill doesn't happen unless you sign it into law. You know, other positions like the superintendent is what? I mean, there's actually something you're doing. You go to work and you do what?
Directs all of the work done by the State Department of Education. That's what this person does. Also, this person sits on all statewide boards, including the Board of Regents. It is the only one that is a non-voting position, for instance, to the Board of Regents. So it's on the Board of Regents, so it governs what the universities do. It also is on the only elected position that's on our state Board of Education. It is designed also to take all recommendations from the Board of Education and make sure that those are implemented within our schools. So you can stand up, for instance, like against La Raza being taught supposedly down in Tucson Unified School District, right? I am not a supporter of La Raza and support overthrow the United States government being taught in our school system. I know that some of you libertarians here are going, that's not it. So, but the reality is I'm not for that, but La Raza actually teaches that. This job, and this position right now, should be fighting against the Ninth Circuit Court that ruled that Tucson Unified School District should be allowed to do that. They just ruled on that several months ago. This position should be fighting that with Mark Brunovich as our Attorney General. We should be fighting that and taking it to the Supreme Court, but we're not fighting that right now.
Do you hire positions of directors or bureaucracy, fire anybody, I mean, what, or some of the,
Everything that's within the Department of Education is under this. So the answer is yes. Yes, ma'am. Now, understand that many of our people are contract people. They're hired in under contracts and that. The state has to run. For instance, the governor, you mentioned the governor. The governor has people working for him that are on 4- and 6-year contracts. That is designed, if anything happens to the governor, the state continues to run, right? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I am a homeschooling mom, and my son at 11 years old wanted to go to public school. We were taught down to by the teacher and the principal that he had to go be tested by the district in order to be placed in his, what would be 6th grade level. At 11 years old, my little boy, and I was scared to death, whether he'd be up to snuff, tested out of high school on 3 of the 5 tests. And I was scared to death. I want to know, can you protect me from the government coming in and telling me what I have to teach and whether or not I can have God in my home? And the legislator not only voted to put homeschooling moms under private school, forcing us to have to be at a future date under some kind of a guise. I'm losing my parental right to teach my children in my home. Can you protect me?
Absolutely. And one thing that I've had the honor of meeting your son. Sir, yes, over at Jim O'Connor's. He would give you a run for your money as well. And I'll tell you what an amazing kid. I mean, I love him. I wish he was part of my campaign. The question is can we protect the government from him? The reality is you have done a tremendous job with your son. The realization is there's no grounds to affect homeschooling because you have a constitutional right, and I will fight and support that with every breath that I have. Because a parent has the right to raise their child. It has the right to say, I'm not sending it to this school. I'm going to send it to this school or I'm going to homeschool. I bring God even into a sneeze, but the reality is, the Lord drives me in what I do. And the thing is you can't take that out of me. Constitutionally, you're not allowed to take that out of me. And quite frankly, I will fight and I will advocate for you and your son always.
Can you help us change that rule that's going to, down the road, fight us homeschooling moms in the rear end?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Children are being taken from their parents in the United States based on schooling.
I can fight for Arizona, and that's what I'm going to do. So the reality is, yes, I am going to fight for that and advocate for that because I do favor homeschooling as well. Who's next? Sir.
I think from hearing the various questions that people are asking, examples, the primary issue that libertarians here are addressing is the authoritarianism and the top-down kind of education system that's being developed and has evolved and so forth. My recommendation, or recommendations, drop as much of the Republican don't even talk about the Democrats. Stay out of the party politics aspects of it and deal with that central issue.
say Trump enough there.
Well, no, you can still say, and I support Trump's effort. I wouldn't run on Trumpism, although I think Trump was a good choice. But I would definitely deal with and support Trump's and make it clear to everybody that I would support him just simply because you're going to support the idea.
When I could vote for the first time, it was 1976. I was in Western Pennsylvania, still in coal country. And the reality is that was very much Democrat, very much Union. So I went down to register to vote, brought home my registration. My mom was excited. She wanted to see it. It wasn't like you registered online. There was no online at the time. And She's seen it, and it was a carbon copy, and that was back in the days that the union, or the papers would actually print what you registered to vote as, because the unions then would use that to hire and not hire. And I registered Republican. And some of the reasons why I registered Republican is I hated, they even thought of abortion. And that was after 1972, and the reality is I just hated it. Another thing too is I've seen the opportunities taken away based on you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, especially in the union area that I was in the whole country, and truckers. Nothing against steel, coal, and truckers, but I didn't want to be a part of that mindset. If I change who I am in any way, I shouldn't be running for this job. And I'll be brutally honest. I got in here because of Donald Trump. 100%. Number two, my faith in God and what I believe in. It's going to, I look at Liberty University. My gosh, how can I hide that? And I'm not even wanting to because I'm extremely proud of it. Number three, I don't support the Democrat philosophy or any of their platform because I think that it's unethical. I've been also told to shave my beard. Quite frankly, I don't even know what I'd look like under here. So, the reality is I really appreciate what you're saying, but I'm a Republican.
Well, I'm not suggesting not to be a Republican.
Yes, yes.
I'm suggesting don't emphasize it.
Well,
emphasize the central issue.
Plus, you got to understand, I'm running against in a Republican primary against four other Republican candidates. So I am a diehard Republican. I've always been a card-carrying Republican. I appreciate it. Conservative, number one, by the way.
Constitutionalist.
Constitutionalist, too. 100%.
Getting back to the question Ernie asked you about your powers, what I would like to know is, to the degree that you're independently able, what would be, under what I assume to be the benevolent tyranny of your office, that you would first do? What would you, with a stroke of the pen, as soon as you could, like to do?
I want to restore the power that was taken away from this office during the last 4 years.
How do you do that?
Well, you go back down to your state legislator. Understand that when our current superintendent got into office, she didn't know the job. She went in, butted heads, and it was easier to pass a law to make her silent than it was to let her go and continue to fight everybody. Well, you got to take that back. First of all, it was unconstitutional. I'm supported by people, for instance, like our longest standing attorney general in this state, Corbin. Anybody know Bob Corbin? Yes. And he's also the former president of the NRA. I'm endorsed by him. That's a non-constitutional act that was happening in this state. So we need to bring that back. It needs to go back to courts. So that's one of the first things I do is try to restore this power. Second of all is getting up and educating the voter, in fact, on education and what the real state of our education is. Because that's really important in how our education system works. Those are the first couple of things that I'm going to do. But also I'm going to live up to my commitment. My commitment is to protect, people like Susan over here and her son. And these are things that I will do. I'm not going to hide from this position. I'm not going to be like the current superintendent that you never see except during election time. She's out doing these little tours now of fact-finding and question and answer. Well, for 4 years you've been in this position, and the reality is you needed leadership. And I'm going to supply the leadership that's needed in this office right now, because we don't have that. The question is, where are we at now? Is this acceptable? Because right now, folks, it isn't acceptable where we're at right now, and we keep electing the same type of people. I'm giving you an opportunity for a change. And see what I do with that. Yes, sir. How are you?
What's in your game plan to go after these so-called institutions of higher learning, colleges, universities, and how it's degraded down to the high school, mid-school, and grade school level? The war against the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and what can you do to stop this insane internal revolution which these people want to impose on our country and doing away with the Constitution?
Well, I understand the question. The question is, our institutions right now of higher education are now indoctrinating people in socialism, communism, Marxism. And now see that going down into, well, in public schools, K-12, I believe that you start with the children. You give them a firm basis in the child. I'll give you an example. Myself, okay? So, the way that I was brought up and raised, I was raised by a single mother, and just a couple weeks after I graduated high school, she died. And I could have been a victim. I could have just sat back and said, woe is me. But my mother, she was 5'2" of New York concrete. And she came, and I know she'd come down from heaven and kick my butt if I didn't succeed. Since that day, like I said, I fell in love with my lovely wife, Adele. I played college football. I went and earned 4 college degrees, and I'm standing right here before you today. My point is, it starts with the child. It doesn't start up there.
Yeah, but what can we do to implement this?
Well, you have to do that in the local level. Again, we got to give local control back to the people like Susan. You got to give the local control back. We have that guaranteed in our Constitution, but the reality is because of the federal mandates and the state mandates coming into this, we don't have local control anymore in our education system. Number 2, and this is kind of really important. How do I want to say this? The curriculum, for instance, civics. You got to bring civics back into the schools. You got to teach civics. You got to have people. It's not enough, because I said this almost a year ago with everybody that was running, and I said, you got to bring civics back. Well, we teach civics. Dr. Branch doesn't know what he's talking about. No, you have a Constitution on the wall. Doesn't mean you teach the Constitution. We have teachers that will stand up and say right now, okay, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I will not be saying one nation under God. You can say it however you want to say it. He gets up, and it's just like, why are we doing that? That's an indoctrination. The reality is we've got to bring back civics into the curriculum. We've got to bring back what it means to be a citizen in this state. So that's where I'm starting.
Okay, just one more follow-up. Is
Yes,
there
sir.
any way that you can enforce some kind of rule, law, whatever you want to call it, that would teach the Constitution and Bill of Rights starting in grade school to the point where before they can graduate, they have to pass exclusion tests so that they show they really know and understand?
The answer is absolutely. We absolutely can do that.
I thought they did that like 15 years ago.
Well, and we have something very much like that where there is a graduation requirement, but it doesn't have to do with all the civics that we're looking at. So, yes, we do have the U.S. Constitution. Yes, it is brought up, but we don't understand the background of the U.S. Constitution. We don't understand what the Bill of Rights is. We don't understand what was happening, with the oppression, in fact, what was going on. In fact, most of that history is ignored in a lot of places.
I got a couple of questions.
There's a couple other people. Yes, sir.
Yeah, a couple of comments here. It's the basic concept is my understanding that Adolf Hitler, World War II stuff, Nazis, that children belong to the state. I think our government is drifted from it. I think they're keep in mind, God gave the parents to children. They belong to you. And that school teacher, a 3rd grade student, she should have.
I'm sorry, for this gentleman who gave the...
He didn't do the hitching yet?
Oh, you mean God? Okay. I'm just joking. I was saying this for the atheists when you said God gave it to you. Well, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry.
The children belong to the parents. God gave the parents to the children. The children to the parents and not the state. The state is out for control, the devil stuff. So I'm thinking, and then it's my understanding in 2010, the Democrat Party of the United States was sued by the Communist Party for stealing their platform. It's an atheist platform. And then, psychopaths. When you look up the word psychopaths, they have no integrity. You apparently see they have integrity. You know yes is yes and no is no. And I think we're out there are psychopaths. It's like how are psychopaths? 1% of the population is, 20% of the prison population is. It's supposed to win for people in ministry and in politics.
Supposedly 3/4 of the CEOs as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. White collar psychopaths. There's no right and wrong. Part of the brain is missing. So I'm thinking, I'm not concerned with what you think you're going to do. I'm more concerned where your reference point is. If God, your foundation, then that has me a lot of credibility.
Amen.
Well, I appreciate that. I was just online yesterday. Somebody was saying, well, so-and-so is the only pro-life candidate, 100% pro-life candidate, I wrote back and I said, well, you have to understand, in order to teach at Liberty University, now you may not like this, but I did. First of all, you have to sign a statement of the sanctity of life, what that means to you, and it's a pledge. You have to also have a sanctity of, a statement of faith. And that statement of faith has to be backed up by pastors' references and recommendations. Then you go before a panel at Liberty, which includes priests, pastors, and also the faculty. And you have to go through this. The only reason I'm here today is because of God.
Yes.
And that's the way that I believe. So I will take on Democrats. I will take on, I could wear I'm a Trumper all day long and face anybody with that. The thing that gives me the strength is my belief in God.
Yes.
And I felt sorry. Remember that coach last year that went out and took a knee after the game with his students and he was fired from school?
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that, but ended up, the coach after the game, he didn't come out with his students and say, okay, let's go out and pray in the middle of the field. The game was over. He walked out and took a knee. Didn't pray out loud or anything. Students followed him and started doing it. You go to any professional football game, at the end of the game, what do the Christians do? They go out on the 50-yard line, they take a knee, right? So this coach got fired. Well, I'm not superintendent of public instruction, but I was outraged. Our superintendent of public instruction should have been out there with that teacher. Should have been saying, wait a second here. If these NFL players could take a knee during our national anthem, then my gosh, we should be able to go out and take a knee after a game, in my opinion. So I was outraged, and I still am.
And one more, I'm sorry. It's my understanding a lot of these red threads, or whatever it's called, they're social justice, which I believe is a communist platform. It sounds like social justice, but the way I understand my stupidity and ignorance, they read the Constitution, there is social justice. And so it's a sidetrack, that concept, social justice. You know?
Very much so.
Somebody, this person, in fact, it was the same schools I did, same teachers I did.
Is that right?
Yeah, pretty sure. Come on.
A good portion of the family has to do with something very similar to socialism. You got a nice little family together, it's partially socialistic. And when you get like in ancient Israel, when they had some great-great-great-grandfather who was over the whole family, there was a big aspect of socialism in there, but it was done the right way. Socialism is wrong. It's all about greed and people stealing from other people and just all kinds of things like that.
My atheist.
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for your time.
Well, see, I take a position just like you take a position. And even though we differ on the position, I respect your being able to take it, especially in this room.
By the way, I voted for Ronald Reagan the first time because I've always been a fiscal conservative. And I believe Ronald Reagan's lies when he said, I'm going to balance the federal budget my first term in office. The first time I voted, I thought, I go for that. And so I did. It was a pack of question. Anyway, you want to make education great again. I do the greater scheme of things, making America great again.
What I mean by that is, if you look, we rank 47th out of 50 states for the quality of education. What that means is let's give them a 20% raise. But if you have a child that you just put into kindergarten, in 13 years, what should you expect that child to become? What opportunities for that child? That to me is, and that's the definition of quality of education. So quality of education, we rank 47th out of 50 states. I want to bring that number down. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, or actually 12 years, in 2006, it says if it wasn't for Mississippi, this is Arizona Republic would be the dumbest state in the union. Okay? And it was like, thank God for Mississippi. So now we've moved up to, okay, we're 47th. That means in my lifetime, I'll never see us break 40. Okay? And they never see us in the 30s, I should say.
Unless we have homeschools.
unless you elect Dr. Branch. That's right. So that's what I mean by making education great again. I think that our students, our parents, everybody should have the belief and the reality that we will educate and allow that child to have the ability to get a good quality education. That's what I mean with that. But go ahead. Answer your question.
I was trying to get to,
It's not just a slogan. That's what I'm trying to say. There's back into it.
I was trying to get to the grander scheme of things that's essentially promoted by conservatives today. That is make America great again. Roy Moore, who recently lost the election for Senate, said, he was asked, when was America really great? He said it was back in the days of slavery. So my question to you is...
Thanks for the Democrats that brought it in.
My question to you is...
If I could finish, my question to you is, in your opinion, when was America great?
I think America's great now.
Still is.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a time when America was greater, in your opinion, than it is right now?
1950s.
We weren't alive.
In 1950. That's what I was hoping to hear.
I was there.
I wanted to hear that from him. But that's okay, Russ. I'm glad you brought it up. Because you pretty much spoke for the crowd. Yeah. It was back in the 50s.
Let me answer the question. Let me answer the question. America was great when it bounced back from the Civil War. America was great after World War I, when we brought back together, and with the Industrial Revolution that we've seen during the late 1800s, America was great. America was great right after World War II, when we came back. And that, I mean, in all seriousness, in the 50s, it was phenomenal. There was nothing wrong with that. But
If you were a white man, sir.
Racist.
You're brainwashed.
You're the first racist.
let me ask you a question. How long? Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Wait a second.
Most of these people here know me very, very well.
I have.
Very well, lady.
Excuse me. How long was America? United States of America. How long did the United States of America have slavery in it?
How long did we have slavery?
Yes.
Theoretically, up until 1865, we've had de facto slavery ever since.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay.
Our criminal justice system is effectively a
So let me ask you this.
prison pipeline, which is de facto slavery.
Well,
Well, I got some
you asked me a
supervisor
question,
education
when was it
questions.
great? And I even said
Yeah, let's go
we're
to,
great.
let's go to the questions on the
Yes, sir.
subject.
All right.
I respect this question.
Here is some superintendent public instruction kind of questions, okay? 11 grandchildren. My youngest, as she starts going into preschool and so on, at a Christian daycare or preschool, Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
I go, 4 years old, I go, do you know what, pledge or even allegiance means? Or what? So, first question is, should that indoctrination is, okay or not, or how, or does she not, Papa, if I don't say the pledge, I have to sit on the bench during recess. Oh, really? Okay, these kinds of things. Then we have, you already said that, yeah, I should have a gun to my head, take my tax money because you want public education. Somebody's going to tell me.
I never said you should put a gun to your
So
head.
you're advocating not taking my taxes. It comes down to a gun, I guarantee it. The other thing is vaccines.
This position has no power to tax. I just want you to know.
So vaccines. So we have vaccines. Should they be mandated by the government or go into school, public education or not? Should I be able to opt out, go to homeschool or private school? None of you hell no. My grandkids were healthiest ever, kind of whatever, looked at me, whatever. Vaccines, taxes you already answered, and pledge. Good.
And gun to your head. I don't want a gun to your head.
But you're gonna take my taxes one way or another.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Anything doesn't. It's gonna be the truth.
So that you understand the funding of the Department of Education, because people don't understand this. The funding of the Department of Education comes from your state sales tax, so what you just spent this morning on the sales tax, that goes to, some of that goes towards education, and your state income tax goes towards it. No,
No property.
no. from the state. Okay, now, that goes down to the county level. So the state, right now, because with the raise and stuff, it's going to be over $7 billion. That goes down to the county level. The county then distributes that out to the school districts out to the schools. That's our school systems and out to the schools. That's how it is. Your property taxes, and this is where local control happens, those are yours. You can stand up and say no to this property tax. The state has no ability to go to your property tax. We don't tax your property. We don't use your property taxes for the state. That goes to the county. So if your county says that you have this property tax, that goes to the county then disseminates that over to the schools. So if you have a bond initiative, for instance, that's not the state, that's local control. That's up to you. I advocate local control because that allows you to go to your school board and say no to a bond initiative, no to a tax increase, no to this. The state doesn't come down and say, we're going to do a tax increase on your property for education. That's not what we do. So, but people don't understand that. So that's why when Red Thread said, we're going to march down on the state and we're going to ask the Governor Ducey for a 20% raise. Well, the reality is the school districts are responsible for that raise. The school districts have local control, and I advocate local control because that means you have control. You elect your school board. You elect those people. So if you don't want a gun to your hand, you want me in that office because I advocate local control, not federal and state control. Does that make sense?
I can debate it forever. Vaccines.
Okay, vaccines are something that this office is not in charge of. Okay, it's not like the...
I've been here bully pulpit a whole lot, and soapbox and going down to the legislature. I want to know what you're going to be doing with vaccine mandates.
It's not his job.
Well,
It's our job. I'm down there all the time. We as people have to go down.
Then why am I electing him if he's not going to use the soapbox for what I want?
The alternative would be much worse.
It's a
Skill building.
okay, so you have the status quo now. Are you happy with the status quo now?
Absolutely not.
I don't want the quote.
That's right. That's right. I'm advocating change. Okay? The changes that I'm advocating right now, I've pretty much stated what I'm advocating. You know, you're asking me if I believe in vaccines. If that's the question, then I'll answer it. But are you saying what this office can affect on vaccines?
No, I'm saying Dr. Bob Branch, running for Superintendent of Public Instruction, goes, you know what? Should she be forced to vaccinate her child? When you go to public schools, it happened. Usually you had waivers. I was in the era of waivers. Now, no, we're not, and no more waivers anymore. Beating down, here it comes. So I got that. Superintendent of Public Instruction is going to, whether you're for or against vaccines or not, I don't care. It's putting, force and initiating force against my family or my grandchildren must be vaccinated or not. Are you going to say that?
Do you think your children should be vaccinated?
Doesn't matter. That's how my kids, I train my children, they get information, I don't want the government to decide for them, or what method, or how often, or by what age, or all that is an
I
individual decision.
guarantee you, I will not advocate to have all that for you. I mean, what you're saying, I'm not advocating for everybody to get vaccinated. I'm not advocating for everybody to be forced to be vaccinated. I'm not advocating for any of that. All right? Because that's not even what this department is. Okay? Now, if you want to know my personal opinion on vaccinations, but you're asking, what am I going to do to fight fight the right to have the option to vaccinate? Is that what you're asking? Because it is mandatory.
Yes, it is. Are you going to say
going into public schools?
Murray's grandchildren should be mandated to have vaccines in public education? I mean, it's what it used to be a decade ago. I don't know, are you going to even mention it or you're not going to? See, I'm not trying to get you to say anything. I just want you to say it. Either you're going to use this position to say I'm against the mandates or I'm for mandates.
Okay, I am not for mandates, federal government mandates into state education, and I am not for any of the unfunded mandates that we currently have in our education
Well, the
system.
state mandated vaccinations, that's a different thing.
But that's not this office. I would not advocate that.
beginning of your thing was advocacy in education.
Yes.
You're gonna force vaccination,
education.
and I wonder what you're gonna advocate to the legislature on vaccinations.
Okay.
You're gonna advocate or you're not.
Can I interrupt?
All right, I got to ask a question.
Can I interrupt? I would like to make one little statement here. This is vaccinations, fourth mandatory vaccinations. Scientific, medical grounds as to why you recognize vaccination are one of the worst authoritarian and basic measures against the human population. Our question is, are you going to provide moral leadership on this issue?
Absolutely. That's a good question. Absolutely. That wasn't the question that was asked. Because, you know, the reality, this office doesn't do that.
They use the school system to enforce the mandate for vaccination.
No, that wouldn't come from the schools to do this. No, that would come from our, actually our legislators. Many of our, for instance, unfunded mandates come from our legislators.
And then the arena, the schools.
Well, that's right, through our legislators. Not from this department.
The school system should be advocating something.
Well,
again, let them use the
You
school
didn't ask me
system
what my beliefs are.
to enforce the vaccine, mandatory vaccine.
Quiet, please.
Because that's what they're using, the school system to do it.
Sure. For instance, when we were kids, we'd go to health, right? And they'd say, okay, put your hand over your eye, look at the eye chart, put your hand over your eye. Oh, by the way, you need glasses. Here's a note, tell your parents to get you glasses, right? Now, there's unfunded mandates out there that give full optometrist type of scanning, and also people are advocating, well, let's also buy glasses for the children. All right? Those are unfunded mandates, and to me, they shouldn't be in the school. That should be a parental right and responsibility. Vaccines, on a personal opinion, should be a parental right and responsibility. Okay. But this gentleman didn't ask me what my personal beliefs were.
I didn't, I don't care. I get to enforce mine.
Well, I advocate parental right and local control. That's what I advocate. And to me, it's a parental right and responsibility. And that's the way that I look at it. Yes, sir, back there.
Yeah, my previous questions here have been on the values of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, which limits the power of government.
Yes.
That's one half. The other half is to solve this problem, which we're talking about vaccination, comes from we're not teaching the evils of leftism, socialism, progressivism, communism, all these isms on the left are what we're not emphasizing. Over 100 million people have died under the auspices of socialism, communism, progressivism, etc. So we're not, and this whole thing of forcing people to get vaccinations comes under the basic concepts of the beliefs of the left, which means government is force. And we're not teaching how bad, contrary to the man in the green here, who loves liberalism, communism.
I thought you were looking at Archie.
Let me finish my bit. I've had, in my job, I have been to all of the communist countries when they were in power, the Soviet Union, Eastern Communist Bloc, etc. And I can personally testify they were all unmitigated disasters.
Amen.
And they all had a pledge. You didn't do the pledge thing. We're going to have a pledge.
I like the pledge. So, and here's the reason why I like the pledge. And I'll give this to you. One nation under God. To me, that's a prayer. And we're still allowed to say it in this room, and that's what I like. But let me say this. So, my experience, especially with communist countries, I designed, like I said, I designed a couple MBA programs. One of the MBA programs, I put a macro and microeconomic book in it. However, it was for a university for online. And of course, they were in Vietnam and they were in China. I get back from Hanoi University of Technology, a ban on my book. There was a ban, and I don't even think about that. Then all of a sudden from Israel, because there was no Hebrew translation of my book. Cyprus, because it was too westernized and too Christian, in their opinion, instead of Muslim. And the reality is I was trying to design one program. And so I had this experience where they actually banned books. And to me, I don't believe in that as well. But I believe that you do. We need to bring civics back. We need to bring this whole thing back.
Last question, one more.
Oh, anybody? Anybody have a question?
If elected, sir, are you going to promote the teaching of intelligent design or creationism in school public safety?
Okay, so that you understand, I was just on TV on that very subject. We were asked right around Christmas time last year in Tempe, do you support the philosophy of intelligent design or creationism? My response is, as I work for Liberty University, and I work for Grand Canyon University, number one, number two Christian universities in this world. What do you think my answer is? Thank you very much. The reality is, and I'll give you an example. There's something called toxoplasm condium. It's a little parasite. Toxoplasm condium. It's a little parasite. It's very common in Western society. This parasite lives in the intestines of a cat. Now, in your evolution world, a cat will eat a rat because it's a food source, right? It's evolution. However, that parasite lives in a cat's stomach. A rat doesn't like the smell of cat urine or cat scat. So that rat runs away anytime it smells that because it knows that it's going to get eaten. That little parasite that's in the intestine of that cat, when it falls in urine or falls in scat and the rat eats it because the rat will eat it, that little parasite will get up and go into the brain of that rat. And toxoplasm happens, and when that happens, it changes the entire mindset of that rat to thinking that that cat not only is attractive, but it thinks it will have a mate. So that rat then will go to that cat, and it will get eaten. And now that parasite is down into the intestinal tract of the rat, again, where it can reproduce. That's intelligent design. That is not evolution. Because how can a parasite that's in a stomach of one animal know to change the thought process of another animal? And to me, that's why I believe in intelligent design. That isn't just stuff happens, in my opinion. So, did I answer your question? Let me wrap up here, folks.
He answered the question.
You said that rats avoid cat, scat, and urine like
No.
plague.
Rats avoid cats. When they find that there's cat, scat, and stuff like that, they know that there's a cat around. But it will contaminate water sources, and a rat will also eat the scat of a cat. So, the parasite knew this. So, anyhow, yes, I believe in intelligent design. And I'm not going to hide that either. So that's the way that I believe. I was actually, 4 out of 5 Republican candidates believe in it. It's like, I hope so. I wish 5 out of 5 believe in it. So, I want to wrap this up. We have a status quo. Status quo is we keep electing politicians to this job. We have a failed education system. My only political aspiration is to fix this education system. I guarantee you that, my pledge to you, when elected, you'll have somebody in this department that's going to advocate and work to make our education system better. I don't have designs on becoming governor, and let's face it, this position is a statewide, it's a stepping stone to governor, stepping stone to Congress or Senate, and that's what people have always used it for. In the last 20 years, we've only had one person that's actually served 2 terms in this office. So the reality is, I'm here to give us a change, to give us an opportunity to have somebody with my educational experience to actually affect this change. I am Dr. Bob Branch. My signs are here. I hope that you take my signs. My brochures are here. Buttons are here. I hope that some of you get behind my campaign. I am not clean election because I don't believe in clean elections. So I'm private funded. And since I'm private funding, I hope that you get on my website and help this campaign out with a contribution. That surely would be appreciated. It's vote4branch.com. Voteforbranch.com. I want to thank you very much. It has been a true honor. I appreciate your questions. Please understand I respect your opinion. So, I want to thank you very much. God bless you.
get up here and get started. We'll do that. Avoid going through any introductions and let you just get down with your discussion. These two men have been involved in a lot of activism and so forth, so we'll let them have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Jose. My name is Jose Borrajero, and Archie and I, for the last couple of years, we have been working diligently at trying to educate the public, the voters, as it were, of the state of Arizona as to what's going on in the legislature, how to affect what is going on in the legislature, how to affect the right people in the legislature. The reason we concentrate on the state legislature is no magic. The reason that we do this because it's not because it's so that it's that important, because obviously the federal will be more important. But what happens is that the state legislature is the highest level of government, which will still have the modicum of an ability to make ourselves heard. Hi? Yeah. Okay. So, to that end, we advocate that there is, if you want to advance your agenda, there are certain things that you need to do. There are three components of advancing your agenda. Whatever that is, hopefully for most of you, they will sort of get the Republican agenda. But whatever it is, there's three components. Component number one is that you have to be informed. If you're not informed, there's no way anything is going to make a decision. So we work at that. Number two, you want to elect the right person for the job. You want to elect people that agree with you. Number three, once you have elected those individuals, you want to make sure that they actually follow what we want them to do. So those three aspects are what help you advance the agenda. Now, today, Archie is going to do most of the talking because he's going to be talking to you about the election process, because we have an election coming up pretty soon. And at a later time, I will be talking about how to go on the zone what's going on with this government. I have, for the last 7 or 8 years, I have been watching the legislature and alerting people as to what's going on at the legislature. And you can find out what's happening by being a member of my distribution list, or by going to the website, or going to my Facebook page, or so on and so forth. The other thing that I have been doing all along is advising people as to what measures will take. Such and such a bill that passed and not passed, and will pass the vote or the vote or against. That's valuable information when it comes time to make a decision as to who to vote for. Hopefully, Archie's going to be talking a little bit about that in the future meeting. Now, there may or may not be a future performance by us. It all depends on what happens today. But hopefully, we'll be invited again, and then I will be spending it.
Could you tell me closer to the microphone, please?
Well, I tried not to receive that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, okay. Huh? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know that you're supposed to eat this thing, but it seems like I'm getting feedback when I do that. What's something now? Okay. Okay. What I was saying is that I've been for the last few years doing basically was looking at what's happening at the legislature and advising people as to what's coming up. And then also advising them as to what happened afterwards, as to who voted which way, so that people know when it comes time to vote for an individual or against an individual, how they voted, because this might come as a surprise to some of you people, but the campaign rhetoric does not always match the actions of the politician.
Oh, no!
Yeah,
That's a psychopath.
Yeah, that's a psychopath. But it does happen occasionally. So, you want to know what's coming up? You want to know how they vote. Those two things. And that's why we concentrate on when I come back, if I do come back, if I get invited, closer to the time when the legislature convenes. Talking about that at this point, we don't come to work because by the time it happens, most people will have that most what I said. So Archie will be talking about the elections coming up, and So with that, I'll turn the mic over to Archie. Once a week, I appear in front of your house. I get out of my car. I take a small bag of trash out of my car, and I walk over and I put it in your trash bag. Every week, I do that. Why would I do that? What does that have to do with politics and elections? When Jose and I were asked to come and talk to your group, one of the subjects that was given to us to possibly discuss with you was how to prevent the state of Arizona from becoming a blue state. The thought that immediately came to my mind was, what do you mean, how to keep it from becoming a blue state? Because if you really think about it, we may already be a blue state. So, if you really want to keep the state from becoming a blue state, the answer to that question is really very simple. The answer is work. You have to get out and work for the candidates of your choice. You have to talk to your neighbors. You have to talk to your friends. And most importantly, you have to educate yourself. Are there any PCs in this room? Any precinct committeemen in this room? Precinct committeemen in this room, right? We have some. So, let me ask you, just exactly what do you know about the elected officials in your legislative district? How many of you really, when you have a chance, talk to your elected officials?
You want us to answer or good?
I'm sorry?
You want us to answer?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just a rhetorical question. But these are questions that you're going to have to ask yourself. Remember, if you want to prevent the state from becoming a blue state, if it's not already a blue state, you're going to have to talk to your legislators. You're going to have to talk to your governor. Now, I don't know what legislative districts you folks are in, but let me tell you a little bit about my legislative district. We have one of our legislators that will never sponsor any bills that doesn't have to do with education. We have one of our legislators that basically doesn't sponsor any bills that doesn't have to do with mental illness. We have one of our legislators that basically doesn't sponsor any bills. Right? Now, what do your legislators believe in? Are they Republicans? Are they Democrats? Are they independents? How do you know? Merely because an individual comes to you and says, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, how do you know what they really believe? You don't, unless you start to hold their feet to the fire. You don't know what they believe unless you start to pay attention to the legislation that they introduce or how they vote on legislation. We have had, I don't know
Excuse me, John, we're trying
how
to
many bills that have been introduced over a period of time that our governor has no jurisdiction over, and our state legislators have no jurisdiction over, but yet they introduce it, and we are then stuck with the end results of what they do. How many of you are familiar with Proposition 107, which was passed in 1992? Never mind, I know how many of you are familiar with it. None of you. It has a totally different name in our state constitution. It's called term limits. How many of you are familiar with term limits? How many of you know what that provision is in our state legislature and in our constitution as it relates to our legislators? Right? If you listen to what our state legislators are doing, that bill said that you could not run for the same seat after you have served 8 years. So what we have is we'll have someone in the House that will serve 8 years, then they'll run for the Senate, and they'll serve 8 years, and then they're going to come back and they're going to run for election in the House of Representatives again. Now, if you read and you understand Proposition 107, it was basically that the people of the state of Arizona voted 75% of the votes cast were in favor of term limits. And basically what the people said is, we do not want professional politicians in the state of Arizona. But, unfortunately, that's exactly what we're getting. We now, if you pay attention to what's going on in some of the legislative districts, you will find that the 3 members in those legislative districts are now talking with each other, and they're saying, I'll tell you what, I'm terming out in the House of Representatives, and you've still got 4 more years to go in the Senate, so why don't you come down and run in the House, and then I'll run in the Senate. And my House Representative, House seatmate over here, still has 2 years to go in the House. So when that 2 years is up, I'll come back down and I'll run in the House, and they can run in the Senate. And then when your 4 years are up, then you can run in the Senate, and I'll come back down to the House. This is what your politicians are doing to you today. You need to pay attention to what's going on. I am not sure why we do it, but when an individual gets elected to an elected office, we view them differently. We may sit here and argue among ourselves, as we have done today, and you had an opportunity to observe, but if one of you on your seatmates gets elected to be to the legislature, all of a sudden you're going to start treating that individual differently. What makes them all of a sudden become smarter than you are when they weren't smarter than you were before they were elected? That's exactly what's happening to us today. We are not holding the people's feet to the fire. You are not attending your meetings, and you're not asking the hard questions of your legislators. If you want to have success, if you want to know what your legislators are doing, you need to watch them. You need to see what bills they are introducing. You need to see how they are voting on legislation. If you do not, then you deserve what you get. This particular legislative session, how many of you are aware of how many bills that were introduced and passed that increases your taxes? Any of you know? How many? Don't say those. How many of you are aware of how many bills that were passed or not passed that takes away tax benefits for you? right? Jose and I had an opportunity this past year because I was sponsoring a bill before the legislature to reduce the number of proxies that can be used at political party meetings. The end result is that we were down at the legislature a lot. And we talked to various legislators a lot about this and other matters. What I was told by one of our legislators is, I can sponsor a bill, and then when it comes up for a vote, I can vote against it. Well, why would you sponsor a bill that you know you're going to be voting against? You need to watch what your legislators are doing so that you can have a better idea of who to vote for and why to vote for them. Now, I come to you and I say, I'm going to run for the legislature. I'm going to run for city council. I'm going to run for the corporation commission. And I'm a Republican. What do you really know about me? You know absolutely nothing about me. And you don't ask the questions to find out. Now, suppose I'm telling you that I am a registered Republican, and in fact, I am a registered Republican. But I ran for city council in Tucson as a Democrat. I worked for Grijalva's campaign and his people. I ran for the Senate as a Democrat. I ran to be the chairman of the Democrat Party. But now I'm a Republican. You really think I'm a Republican? Of course not. You need to ask hard questions, and you need to keep your legislators' feet to the fire. If you fail to do so, you're going to find, just as you had this year, that your legislature is going to pass bills that are going to increase the taxes on you. They're going to come with that little bag of trash and put it in your trash bin, and you're going to pay money for it. Right? At some point in time, you're going to have to start vetting the people that come before you. And Dr. Branch here today. What do you really know about Dr. Branch? Do you know whether or not every Friday he beats his wife? Do you know whether or not a year and a half ago he was arrested for drunk driving? You don't know that. Right? The same would apply to me or to anybody else that's running for election. If you don't ask them the hard questions, you won't get the hard answers. Now, I will tell you that I'm going to vote for Bob Branch. Right? I am satisfied that he is the appropriate candidate and the proper candidate for the office which he seeks. And I only use him as an illustration because you talked to him today. And none of them asked the hard questions. You want a responsible city council? You want a responsible board of supervisors? You want a responsible legislator or a governor? You need to start asking the questions. And if you don't, you won't deserve what you get. Yes?
What's the most effective communication method to our representatives? Is it email? Is it phone call, leaving a message about what you want? Is it a written letter? What is the most effective from the legislator's point of view?
The most effective way with any politician is to get in your face. Right? Face to face.
Face to face, okay.
Now, if you cannot do it face to face, then in all probability, the most effective way is going to be by an email. You need to be respectful to them, but you need to be forceful with them. Only me standing up here can call them names. You can't call them names and send them an email. Yes?
I listened to what you say the point.
That's correct. That's exactly
A
what
lot,
I'm
there's so
telling
much
you.
of that in politics, it's pathetic.
Yes. It's easy for me to tell you something, but if you watch me and I do something different, then you know I'd like to.
Oh, no.
That's right.
Going back to what you were saying regarding, are you a precinct committeeman? To this gentleman's question, that representative, if that's Republican, if you're a Republican and a Republican representative, they should be in your LD's precinct committees. They should be at your LD meetings. And monthly, you should be able to talk. And that's where I talk to my representatives all the time, is in our, and so you're an elected official as a PC. You go there and they present and you get up and you talk to them. You ask them the hard questions in front of your LD. Because that's your responsibility now as a committeeman to take that information back to your precinct. To say, this is what so-and-so said, this is what so-and-so did. Now you're part of the system instead of just one person trying to affect the system. You represent people as a PC. So as Archie said, get involved, become a PC, and go see your LD, go see your, because each legislative district has one senator and 2 representatives. So you should be able to get to know them. They should be face to face with them.
If you know, yes.
I actually designed a flyer that is in a template form for precinct committee people to use, and it has all of the legislators and their links on it. So you can inform the people in your neighborhood. Even if you're not a PC, you can actually still help your neighbors. And if you would like, I can share it with whoever does your email for this group, and you can see mine. I'll send it to you in Word. It will be editable, so you can put your stuff in it.
Very good. Yes.
Everybody, well, older people here always rely on the Breakfast Club for this information. And is there any central place on the internet where we can find this out? Is there?
I'm glad you asked that, and I'm going to answer that question for you very quickly. But you people in this room have an opportunity to start helping yourselves. What you need to do is you need to commit to volunteer just 1 hour a week. Not a whole bunch of time, and I'm sure most of you have 1 hour a week that you can find that you can volunteer to work. And what you need to do is you need to form a committee and start vetting candidates. Now, you want to have an idea on where to go to get some kind of assistance in finding out what our current legislators are doing. I would suggest that you join Jose's group. Jose spends lots and lots of time going over the legislation that is being sponsored and before the state legislature to be voted on. And he posts on his website the various bills, what those bills do, who sponsors them, and what the probable result is going to be if they pass or fail.
What's the website?
I'm sorry?
What is the website?
Oh, you contact Jose and he'll put you on his website.
I got business cards. The name of the website is Arizona peopleslobbies.com.
What was that again?
Arizona ACPeoplesLobbies.com.
Arizona spelled out.
Wait a second, let me check.
Yes,
I got to check for the business card to see. I have it as a link, so I never actually type it in. ACPeoplesLobbies.com. And I have some business cards for some anybody else. Because I also put stuff on Facebook. I'll take one.
Sound like plural, peoples. Lawless.
Sounds like he has a mind that's great.
No, is it plural or is it possessive?
ACBeaglesLobbyist.com.
Anybody else want to need a card? Well, let me finish one couple of things here. The question was, how do we keep Arizona from becoming a blue state? One of the things you need to know is how your legislators are voting. Many of the legislators that we have in the legislature currently vote most often with the Democrats. They tell you they're a Republican, but they vote with the Democrats. Now, all we need is one or two offices to be switched. Those three people are retained in office, and you have one or two others that are voted and changed to Democrat, then your legislature will become a Democrat legislature. Well, yes.
One of the easy ways that you can smoke out some of these so-called legislators in this face-to-face meeting we have today is to ask them just some very simple questions about the Constitution. Say, do you mind if I ask you, do you understand the Constitution? Y'all say yes. And I say, okay, you won't mind answering a couple of questions then. How many articles are there? I guarantee you the vast majority won't know. How many amendments are there? I guarantee you they won't know. Where are the 5 guaranteed freedoms and where are they found? I will guarantee you most of them will not be able to answer the simple questions. So if you just tell them, say, listen, you know, you're a legislator, and if you don't know the rule book, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any rights. And so you're up there, and you're making laws on the basis of rule book you know nothing about. Now, I realize you're talking about the federal Constitution, but they don't know anything about the Arizona State Constitution either.
That's right, most of it don't. You have a question?
I find when I speak to my legislators, whether in their House or Senate, gotcha questions don't help me. When I come in with a bill and I have that highlighted in different colors and show them what each sentence means, to our Constitution, I get a lot further. They did that with the bill, the balanced budget amendment that was put out, that was formed by the Compact for America, which is not here to save America. And they actually, I got to 11 senators. They still voted against me because I came in so late in the game. I had just moved back to Arizona. But if I had had some support and some people down there helping me get to them through whatever means they had available. Barbara Booster, if anybody knows her, she was down there with me. And we also were down at the Capitol in the Rose Garden with a press release about the balanced budget amendment and the Constitutional Convention Article 5, which they're disguising now as calling it a convention of the states, which is even in the Constitution. And all we have to do is let them know we're there for them, to help them, and they actually get further with them than trying to do gotcha questions. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just really think that they have their plate so full that having the highlighted bill like you would do for a third grader is so much easier for them to go through. They don't have to read them all. Sorry.
So the end result, and to wrap this up, is confront your legislators, those that are currently in office. And when you have someone standing before you, seeking your vote, seeking your money, seeking your time, it is time for you to protect yourself and ask the hard questions. Do not elect somebody that you don't know who they are. If you don't know whether or not a person is truly a conservative, if you do not know whether or not they are a liberal, if you do not know where they stand on issues, then when you vote for them, then you're doing yourself a disservice as well as your neighbors.
Is at it again. I hope you guys have a good one today. We've got 3 tickets here for drawing on the books. The first one to have a choice, I got a couple of last ones. 8362. 8362. Anybody hold on?
Yeah, we're here again.
Yeah, it's good.
8362. Where are you on?
Gotta be here to win.
8347. 8347. We got takers today. We got a lot of takers over there.
I got 47.
8347. There you go. Get the first chance to go ahead and just post over here. 8361.
Here you go.
Okay. We got one more. Let me get another ticket. It's 8345. There you go. All right.
Lucky being able, you were close.
Next month, the first Saturday, right here, double time, everybody. Let's do it. Have a good one and drive careful.
Next time we may try coming in around 8 o'clock, between 8 and 9 to eat. And you can order from the menu, then you won't have to pay the $15. So if you don't want to spend that much, we'll probably take a small donation of $2 or $3 so we can pay for the speakers' meals. And we'll try that next month and see how that goes. Because we're finding this way is pretty expensive. So I think it'll save us a little bit, and you'll be able to order exactly what you want. So plan to come a little after 8.